Just say it's all about how I saved up enough money to quit my job and travel the world. Once I made up in my mind I was going to do this for real, I had to get serious about my numbers. And this is how I got serious. First thing I looked into was how much was it going to cost me per month to live in the places that I want to travel to. So on this screen, I am showing like a loose itinerary over to the right for me on the screen where you see the picture of me and the suitcases. That was my loose itinerary that I put together before I left. So in these countries, I looked up the average cost of Airbnb, went to Airbnb app, selected the months I thought that I would be there to gauge how much it would cost for me to stay in an Airbnb.
If you are watching this video and you're trying to figure out how to even start your travel itinerary, Airbnb may tell you where to go based on your budget. Or the opposite, like me, if you knew where you wanted to go, you can use Airbnb to give you an idea of price. So you can use it either way. So for me, for example, I knew I was starting in Europe, and let's say I didn't know I was going to start in Paris, where I started. And I'm going to say, okay, July 1st through the 31st for the whole month, I'm going to stay in Europe. I don't know what country. I'm going to go based off of what Airbnb suggests based on my price. Okay. And if you're worried about what if you get into an Airbnb you don't like and you want to cancel and it's not refundable, I have a ton of videos on my channel on how I got my refund. So make sure you are subscribed to my channel. Now, I'm going to link those videos in the description box as well. I'm going to set my budget very low for Europe. I'm going to see what I get. I'm going to set it for a little over $1,000 for the summer, which is pretty low. I'm going back to my filters. So I want to make sure that let's say I want to cook to save money. It needs to have Wi-Fi. I'm planning on being out, so I don't really care if it has a TV, but I definitely want AC because I don't want to be uncomfortable when I sleep. Let's just say these are the options that you want to have. And I suggest always staying with a super host. These are people who have places listed on Airbnb that are highly rated. And so you can show you the places. Now you're going to see the options for Europe that are coming up. Clearly, we're not going to stay in an area that's in war right now. So we're going to move over. Eastern Europe is cheaper than Western Europe. So let me see. Bulgaria is coming up. That's a place I actually did go and stay to save some money. Romania is coming up. And then you're like, okay, let's see where this is at. Okay, so this is Bulgaria. That may be, is it on the coast? So let's see what comes up. It's new. So you have to decide if you want to stay in a new place that has no rating, but this host has other properties that was highly rated. So that's why they're a super host. So again, you can stay in Macedonia for a month. This has 54 ratings. It's almost at a 5-star rating. This is a hostel though, so it's not really independent place. Now, usually when I want to go back to filters to show you something, and again, if you don't need this much information, go ahead and skip to the next section of my video. I have a lot of great information if you're trying to get your money together to be able to travel long term like me. Typically, you will see an option for you to stay alone, but I'm not seeing that. So I'm going to put one bedroom, one bed and bathroom to try to get rid of staying in a hostel. Up here they changed a little bit, so you can have rooms, homes. So I'm gonna select homes because I don't want to stay with people. And look how much smaller that got. So 69 places in Europe that's coming up, and I'm gonna zoom out to be able to see my options are better. See my options a little bit clearer, I should say. And I'm seeing Romania for $832. I don't know what just happened to it when I went to click on it. I'm not going to say, and let's see Romania. This place is $832 for the month before taxes. And so what I would do if I didn't have Romania on my list, which I didn't, and I actually stayed in Romania to save money at one point in my travels, I'm going to go on YouTube. I'm going to do a little bit of research on the country, but I'm also looking at where this is located. And I'm like, okay, I can stay here because what's next to Romania? How close is the beach from here? I may stay inland, but I may be able to get on the train and get to some cool places to get down to the coastline. I'm just throwing these ideas out to you, but this is how I was able to create a budget for accommodations. I looked at Airbnb. There's also VRBO. There's also Agoda.com if you're going to Southeast Asia. Their prices are a little lower, but certain countries it makes sense to do foot traffic if you're going to stay for a month. But my point in saying all of this is I use Airbnb as a starting point for me to find accommodation. Some people are like, "Oh, Airbnb is ruining things and don't use it." I use it as a starting point so I can have an idea of how much a place is going to cost. Typically, if you find a country you like, you will find cheaper apartments in Facebook Marketplace. So make sure you're subscribed to my channel for all these types of insights of long-term travel because I got a lot to share for y'all.
The second thing on here is flights, trains, and buses. I've seen people coming into the live, so make sure you hit that like button between the different countries that I was visiting. So I had lodging first, which I did for 12 months, y'all. So my budget I set for lodging was $1,500 max a month, and I definitely blew that budget. If you get my travel diaries, my newsletters, you know I'm significantly over budget right now. Um, but the plan was when I was looking at these numbers, this was in what's we're in 2023, right? I left in 2022. So 2021, end of 2020 and all of 2021, I was pricing out lodging. When 2022 happened, when I actually left, the prices skyrocketed. So that's why I became over budget with lodging. But flights, trains, and buses, I put this itinerary up so you can see like my mindset on coming up with the numbers because I was following a line. Like when I started in Europe, I was saying West Europe over to East Europe to go to Africa, Africa to Asia, but I ended up going back home. Not back to Detroit, but I was in the US. I just left a few days ago. But this route was set up for me to be able to see if I could take a train to save money, a bus to save money between countries or different cities and countries that I was visiting. So I got really detailed on my numbers and to go over with how I came up with the numbers themselves. And I put food as number three, but really it was medical insurance that I had budgeted out for. So I do have pre-existing medical conditions. So having medical insurance is very important to me. Once I quit my job, I knew that I wasn't going to be covered anymore. Now I could do Cobra, but I wasn't going to be in the US anymore. So having Cobra really didn't make sense for me. Cobra covers you to have the same medical insurance you have by your employer, but you pay it out of pocket to cover you, I think, up to a year. But that's only in the US. So I knew I was going to be gone for a long period of time. So I was pricing out medical insurance, travel medical insurance. That's actually a thing where you can pay a monthly premium to be able to see a doctor, dentist, whatever you need for preventative care, not just when an emergency happens. Unfortunately, I got denied from every medical insurance company for preventative care, but I do have coverage for emergency care. If I were to get sick or whatever, I am covered to see a local doctor, go to the hospital for treatment, and things of that nature. But the medical insurance coverage, because I had pre-existing condition, would have been about $300 to $400 a month. But the reason why it was so high for me was because of the pre-existing conditions. And it covered me if I came back to the US for 3 months. So I know that I want to come back and visit after my year is over. Well, I came back just a few weeks ago, but to have coverage in the USA for the annual travel medical plans was very expensive. So then I looked into food and my activities that I wanted to do. while I was there. So that's how I came up with my budget, y'all. So I times these numbers monthly times 12, and that's how I came up with my number. My number, if you know me, I always say that I am not going to share my number, how much I save, because I feel like it's not relevant to your situation. If you are saving to travel the world, my number is going to look different. Like I said, I have medical conditions. I may want to stay in certain type of places. I actually did stay in hostels as well as Airbnb. So you may not even have that or as an option for you. So the next thing is
I will be sharing my 5-step method on how I actually was able to save up the amount of money to travel the world for a year. This video shows you the 5 categories I focused on, but we need to know how I actually was able to take money from my income and store it away to reach my financial goal. Be sure to check financial videos I have on screen. Until next time, bye.